This is Amud Yomi, Gemara in Berachos, Daf Chavav Amud Aleph. Exciting day here in the world of Amud Yomi, Baruch Hashem. We are concluding the third parak of Berachos, B'siyata Dishmaya. We pick it up in the very bottom of Chav Hey Amud Beis. We are 4 lines from the bottom. Rav Achai, Yasik Leila Brei, Bei Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta. That what's going on over here is Rav Achai made a shidduch for his son with the daughter of Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta, Alei L'chuppah. So Rav Achai led his son to the chuppah of Lavi Mistei Milsa, but it wasn't successful. Rav Achai went in to look what's going on over here. So he sees that there's a Sefer Torah there in the room, so he's now realizes why his son didn't consummate the marriage. When he came out, he said to him, if now I didn't come, would have been a sakana for my son. The Tanya Bayishish for Sefer Torah, it's filling Aser, L'shamesh Bayisamita, Ad Shesiyah Shenichan Kli B'toich Kli, till you take them out, or you put them into a double covering. Amar Abaya. Now we get involved in the halachas of Kli B'toich Kli, such important in halachas. Says Abaya in the end of Chavei Amud Beis, L'shanal Kli She'einoi Kilyan. When we say one Kli within the next, it's only if it's not its own receptacle. Aval Kli She'einoi Kilyan, but if it's made for it, it's its receptacle. Shtikam Achleik's what that means, but simply means it's its own receptacle. Even if you have many of them, it's going to all be considered one covering because it is made for it. Amar Rava continues. Rava and Rava says, okay, so now how we can have this din of a kli b'toch kli, a double covering? Says Rava, kalima, if there is a coat, as we turn over to Chavav Amud Aleph, a kamtera, that's over a cabinet, kekli b'toch kli dami. If the cabinet itself has a din of one covering, and now you put a coat on top of it, has a din of a separate covering, because it's not normal to drape your coat over the cabinet. It says Gemara B'Shulman Levi Sefer Torah, Sarach la'isais le'mechitza, Tzara has to have mechitza 10 tefachim. Says the Gemara Mar Zutra Kladabi Ravashi, Chazi leduchti Mar Ravashi. He saw the bedroom Mar Ravashi. Te'manach be Sefer Torah, the Sefer Torah there Vavalei mechitza Sarah. Amar le'ikiman. Who do you hold like? Do you have a mechitza Sarah? Kirv Yeshua ben Levi. Aim with the Rishon ben Levi, when the Rishon ben Levi say his din. The last lay beisa achrita, maris le beisa achrita. Therefore, you should not be seimich on mechitza Sarah. Amar le leva datoi. I did not realize that was the din. Just to point out very quickly, this din of Rava that putting the cloak over the cabinet is a very important din, because often you'll have a cabinet, once it's memsad, it's a din of Rashus b'fnei atzmai, and then one covering on top of it will suffice. And over here we're seeing a chumrah that if there is another area, one should not be seimech on the mechitza asar tefachim. Continues the Gemara, 10 lines down, Chavav Amud Aleph, the 2 dots. How much does one have to distance from the Miraglayim, from the Sayah? Before saying Shema, said 4 amos, said the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Zcheir, Amar Rav Huna lo yishanu ela la'chayrav. The Mishnah that said moving 4 amos only refers to where it is behind you. Avalafanav, Barachik Malei Einav. But if it's in front of you, you have to go Malei Einav. Chen Litfila. Says the Gemara, is this true of Amar Rambar Papa, Amar Rav Chisda? I made Adam Keneged Basic Kisi Mispal, you let it stand opposite of Basic Kisi as long as you're 4 amos away. So what do we see? We see that even though you can see the Basic Kisi, still you're allowed to daven. So why are you telling me as you Malei Einav? Says the Gemara, Achamai Eskin Basic Kisi She'ein Bat Saya. That's when you're allowed to be just 4 amos away. But if it's actual Saya, then it has to be Malei Einav. Says the Gemara, really? V'amar Rav Yosef Bar Chanina. Amru Aval Bishain but Saya Bisa Mercha Shamru Aval Bishain Bayadam. So why are you telling me that the din of Beis HaKisei is when there is Saya? It's a new Beis HaKisei. That's what we can more makel. Why? Because it was not used. Yeah, it says the Gemara of Homi by the Ravina. But this was a Shiloh. They asked Ravina, Azmana Mil Azminu, the Beis HaKisei Yesh Zimun or Ein Zimun. And Ravina declared a Shiloh that maybe the Hazmana itself does give it the same din. Answers the Gemara, Kigom by the Ravina, what was the Shiloh posed? whether the hazmana, the designation of a basic kisei, gives the din a basic kisei. That's davening inside the room. Aval kinegdai, that's going to be a different din. That was never even a shayla, of course. That would be mutter. Amar Rava, anibat kisei de Barsai. And this is a loaded line, says Rava, the basic kisei of Barsai, of the Persians. Aval gav this Barsai, even there's actual tzai in it. Kistumim dami, it's like it's covered up. And Rashi over here points out, what's the reason? The shayla, real big shayla, is whether our bathrooms have the same din. Why? Because Bersai is bechafira hayu. It was a hole dug in the ground, and more importantly, it was PM berachik min haguma, and the place where the tzaya is held is a little bit of a distance from the hole. Vubishi pua, and there was a slant. V'rei misgalgal v'noifel beguma. So that's the big shaila, whether a regular toilet that you just flush away, whether that's better, that's worse. In the world of cleanliness, it's certainly better. But on the other hand, there is a moment in time that the sayah does sit there. Therefore, maybe it's not as good as a basic kisei tipar soy. We pick up from the last Mishnah over here in the third paragraph of Chavav. Says the Mishnah, going back to that which we said back on Dav Chav Amid Beis, that a Balkari midrabanan is not allowed to learn Torah unless he goes into a mikvah of memsa, and he learned over there the chutin memsa, tishekabim, ba'inis, etc., etc. Zav shara'a keri, says the Mishnah. Zav, who sees keri v'nida shvolta shechlazera, a nida that the zera comes out of her after tashmish, v'mishameshes shras a nida, or one who had tashmish while she was mutter, and afterwards she became a nida. All of these cases, tzrich and tefillah, but Rav Yehuda Poiter says the Gemara Yibayiluhu. Balkari Shara Ziva Rav Yehuda Ma'u. When Rav Yehuda said you're Potter, what if it's a Balkari who then became a Zav? Does such a person need to go to the mikvah or not? Keep Potter Rav Yehuda also. When Rav Yehuda said that a Zav does not have to go to the mikvah, as Zav Shara Keri is when you're first a Zav and then you see Keri. Why? To make her lavar tfilu. Why? Because originally the Zav is not ready to go to the mikvah. So the fact that he sees Keri right now, he still can't go to the mikvah. Still does not have to go to the mikvah. Aval Keri Shara Ziva, the opposite way. To make Kara Par Tilahu. Or Meikara, after he sees Keri, he is able to go to the mikvah. Now that he sees Zav, so maybe still Mechayiv, you will have to go to the mikvah to say Torah. We conclude, says the Gemara, Tashema, Hamishameshet Veras Anida, says the Gemara, Sricha Tvila, and Rav Yehuda Paiter, an explicit Brisa, says the Gemara of Hamishameshet Veras Anida, in a case of one, well, not explicit, it's from the Diak, in the case of Mishameshes, Viras Anida, Kebal Keri, Shara Ziva Dami, it's the same type of case. In both of the cases, there was the Keri first, and afterwards there was the higher level of Tama. And yet, what do we see? In both cases, Rav Yehuda is Machayiv the Mikvah. It's Potter, excuse me, Potter Rav Yehuda. Shema, we see that Rav Yehuda would say about Keri, who became a Ziva, would be Potter. Confirms the Gemara as we conclude the Parek, Tani Rav Chia Behedya, Bal Keri, Shara, Ziva, Sarech, Tfila, Rav Yehuda Potter, Hadron, Allah, Misha, Mesu, Chazar is certainly in order. Let's just begin. We'll just begin the Mishnah just to do a aschala on the fourth parak. Says the Mishnah, after we've been dealing really the first 25 blot, all about Kriya Shema, now we dive into Shemayin Esrei. Says the Mishnah, Tfilas HaShachar. When you let a dam in Tfilas HaShachar, Shachris ad Chatzois. Rav Yehuda Mer ad Arbashais. Tfilas HaMincha Erev, Rav Yehuda Mer ad Flag HaMincha. Tfilas HaErev ein la keva. You can do it all night. Shal Musafim Musaf Kol Hayom, an important din. Well, every din is important, but that one sometimes comes to save some people. Rav Yehuda Mer ad Sheva Shais, until 7 hours into the day. We'll stop over here. We'll pull up a job early, and we'll tear the Gemara in the next year. B'siyata d'shmaya.